Today, I'm going to talk to you about, uh, well, I just left a funeral last week, and it was one of my uh, people that I was friends with, and we lost touch of each other. And I get a text messages saying that she had died. She was only 52 years old. And the story that I'm going to tell you is when you raise your murderer, when you raise the killer. Now, she had a son. I'm going to name him as Jay. You know, when Carol was young, she had a baby, her son, only son, and she that was remarkable, but that she stopped doing her life and focused on church, raising her son, and work. Them the only three places that Carol ever went. She may have went out of town, but it was more like with church functions and everything. And Carol was a mediator. I'm going to say this. I hung with somebody else with her. And me, Carol, and the other person, I'll call her S. We were the kind of rowdy ones, and she was the calm one. And she was the youngest. Her father, the Jay father, didn't raise him. In fact, he didn't want to have nothing to do with him. And so what he did was, after a while, after Carol tried to get child support and he wouldn't do it, and tried to get Jay into his life, she just buckled up and she took care of him. She worked at where she worked at. She did overtime. She endured a lot of stuff because she was raising Jay. And Jay was her son. Now, you would think that, Jay being raised by the son, and I know a lot of people say, well, you know what, being a single parent, it doesn't, you got to have a father in the house. I agree with that to a certain point, but you can't make a man be a responsible father. And when you can't make another man try to be a father. And when that time comes that you can't do that, women, you just have to do what you got to do. And that's what she did. So it wasn't like Jay didn't go without. His mama worked overtime. She took him to church. She, when she didn't do the whooping all the time, she put him on a punishment. She made him write essays and all of that. But while she was doing that, she buckled down and she was a mother. She was a mother. How many women do you know in your 20s just stop dating and focus on raising a kid? That's 1 in a million. 1 in a million. Because a lot of women today want to have relationships. They feel like, well, the daddy doing it, I might as well be doing it. But Carol didn't see it that way. She didn't see it that way. What she did was she focused on raising her son. Most women, Carol didn't have men coming to her house. She stayed focused with the church. Whatever the church was doing, Carol was doing. Any events. Carol went to church, I'll say out of 5 days, 3 of the 5 days. 3 out of 5 days. And she just, she was in networking. It was because of Carol that I met S. Carol was a networker. So you ask, what about her son, Jay? I'm going to talk about him. Well, Jay wasn't, you would think that a mother that was focused on her children, she didn't have men coming into her house, She didn't have this type of drama going on. You would think that, you know, that Jay would have turned out right. Because after all, Carol had three brothers. Three brothers. And normally when a single mom have three brothers, the brothers kick in and become the father figure that the little boy needed in his life. Well, that didn't happen. And it kind of told off at the funeral. As long as I've been knowing Carol for over 10 years, I never heard her mention anything about her brother doing anything with her son. Her son was just out there. She tried to put him in the Boy Scouts. She tried to put him in this. She tried to put him in that. But it didn't work out. Now, Jay was, I could say, a little devil. You know, and I want to tell you, because I don't want you to think that, oh, well, all kids are a little devil. No, Jay was a devil. You know, I'm going to give you some experience on experience. You know, my kids, I had two kids. Everybody know that. A boy and a girl. And after they met him one or two times, they used to, when I said, oh, you know, Carol coming over and she bringing Jay, they would get up and go. They'd call somebody and get up and go. Mama, take me over here. Mama, do this, do that. They didn't like it. Didn't like it. So Jay would come over with his mama and, you know, he would ask to want to play in, you know, my kids' room. Well, I didn't allow that because if anything got broken or stolen or stuff, I didn't want to have to explain that I let somebody in their room. Besides, that was their privacy. That was their room and that's their stuff. So one day, Jay came over and he asked to go in my son's room. And I told him no. And his mama said she understood. So he waited a few minutes and he asked could he go in the bathroom. Well, I didn't let nobody go in my bathroom, you know, because my bathroom was attached to my bedroom. So he had to walk through the front of the house. And there was a bathroom there. It was just a bathroom for, you know, for the kids, and then it was for them. So he stayed in there a few minutes, and, you know, me and Carol, we was talking. And then he came back out and sat down, and Carol said, you know, I'm getting ready to go, you know, and she left. So I was sitting down watching TV again. Some told me to get up and go and just get up and go. So I went in my daughter's room. I didn't see none. Went in my son's room. I noticed his bed was messed up. So I said, I'm going to go and make his bed up because I normally do that anyway. Pulled back the covers and he had a bag of chips that he had brought over. Big bag of chips. He was kind of finished with it, or it was in the middle of it. Well, Jay went and put the chips in the bed and squished them down like this. Made them all crumbly. Then put the cover back over. Oh, but it gets good. So, as Jay grew up, he started to do different things. Carol would get calls. She got one call where he stabbed the girl almost in the eye, right about here, with a pencil. He was still, you know, he about 8 or 9 then. They expelled him. He had to go to another school. She would get calls all the time from the school. If it wasn't something that he did, if it wasn't something that it was like it was so bad. So Carol grew up. She raising him. And she raising him. She doing the best she can. But you know, it's hard for you to be a single parent and then you're raising somebody. And then you turn around, you got to take off your job to go to the school to deal with some mess. With no family support whatsoever. But do you blame her? Do you blame her? So as Jay grew up, you know, he continued to be bad. He almost didn't graduate out of school. His mama had to do something so that he can go to night school and graduate with his class, and it just got bad. Well, fast forward to last week. Last week I get a text message from S. She says, she sends me the funeral arrangements for Carol. She says, okay. I'm thinking it's the mama, but no, it's Carol. Carol was younger than all of us. She was just 52. I'm like, okay. So I get on the phone and I call S. S is crying. Oh, she's really crying. She says, Jay killed Carol. I said, well, why? Why you say that? Then she started telling me the details. She said that Carol's sugar was so high it was undetectable. She had a stroke. Then she found out she had a hole in her heart and she had a seizure and she died. They're saying that she's a diabetic. Well, I kind of found that hard to believe because you know what? Carol never went to the hospital and except for when she had fibroids and, she had them removed. So Carol, and she was never sick. Besides, being a diabetic, I've been a diabetic a long time. I've been diagnosed in 2008, but I was a diabetic long before then. Your sugar high. You're going to have some symptoms leading up to diabetes. Diabetes just it ain't like a fairy tale where it comes up one morning and you say, oh, I'm a diabetic. Oh, and then I have a stroke. No, it's something that's gradual. It affects your kidneys. Those are the most sensitive parts. So, you go to the bathroom a lot. You got blurred vision. You got some other stuff going on. Then they said that, she had a hole in her heart. Well, a person that has a hole in their heart, come on, you have symptoms. People think that when you find out, like for instance, that they got a disease or something, it just took them out. No, a lot of times it has, even with high blood pressure, there are symptoms. Everything that's in your body has symptoms. So I remember the last time I talked to Carol was back here in October, November. Jay called me and asked me to call his mama, and his mama asked me to help him do a bankruptcy. Well, since that, one of his aunts co-signed for a car, and he wasn't paying on it. So the mama was paying for it. Carol was paying for it, and the car was about to get repossessed. Told her, fine, I'll do it, but I'm not finna do it that for free. So, she paid me. Then she wanted to stop. No, that's your stuff. You do whatever you need to do. Well, anyway, I started hearing things that was inconsistent. People calling me, telling me, hey, he turned around and he says that, he told the people that her sugar was low and she was a diabetic. Then she said it was food poisoning, and he took her to the hospital and it just came out. It was just awful. Well, when I got down there, this is the story. This sister, her name is C, she told me that when she came over there, her sister Carol was laying on the floor. It was a auntie that was there, and then it was Jay there. Neither one of them decided to call 911. So she did. She said that there were needles in her wrist. Well, if you're a diabetic, you don't shoot up in your wrist, you shoot up in your stomach. Took her to the hospital. And the son, he would come. He came, sat there, sat for 30 minutes, and then he left. He had a little job working fast food. At 30-some years old, he working fast food. Oh, he got 3 kids, too. And when they called a job, found out that he was telling his job that he couldn't come in because his mama was dead. Even though she was still alive at the hospital. Oh, it gets even better than this. It gets even better. So when she died, found out he was the beneficiary. He was the beneficiary of her life insurance policy. So, of course, you know, her sister, the mama, and him went down to the funeral parlor. They went down there, make arrangements. He picked out the casket, but then he turned his back to the undertaker, the funeral director, they call it now, and started talking on the phone. They had to ask him, hey, Jay, get off the phone so you can make your arrangements. But he took his time. Took his time putting all of that together and hung up and, you know, he didn't care. So the wake was Thursday. I got there that Wednesday. I found out that, you know what, when they found her, she had a syringe in her bed. That he took a syringe needle. He took a syringe bag to the hospital to give to the sister, to her Carol's sister. But wait a minute, she wasn't a diabetic. She wasn't a diabetic. So then he tells everybody, this is when the story comes out. He tell one person that her job poisoned her. And that's how she died. Then he turns around and tells somebody else, oh, no, the cousin that was there, she poisoned. Then he goes and says, no, his girlfriends, his baby mama poisoned his mama. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I'm going to say this. If my, you know what, I can't even talk to my son about death. My son get emotional. My son 32, and I can't talk to him like that. I can't talk to my daughter. She's 35. I can't talk to them like that. They get emotional. They get very emotional when they talk. So we end up, I'm hearing all this statement. I'm driving to Memphis. And I'm saying, you know what? They telling me her favorite colors that everybody's wearing is purple, lavender. So, I'm getting myself together because I haven't seen her in a while, and trying to figure out how am I going to react. But at the same time, I got to read the room. I'm reading the room. I've been doing it for so long. Reading the room. So I get there and I talk and I met with Ez. I went to my son's house and wind down, and then I got myself ready for the next day for the wake. So I go to the wake. I'm 30 minutes late. Wake is from 4 to 7. I get there at 4:30. I walk in. She had a purple casket, a dark purple casket. She had purple and white. Carol had long hair, and that came from, she never permed her hair. She used to get it washed and conditioned, and then they pressed it. Yeah, they fried the hair. So her hair was like right here. It was long. It was pretty long. So I get in and I see this young man. Turned out to be Jay. And he laughing and giggling and playing with his children and all of that. And I walk up and I see him. Carol was my color. But she was a little dark. And I couldn't breathe. And I started looking at him and how he playing around, and he had on a dingy white shirt, black pants, some tennis shoes. Looked like he just came off the street. And I'm looking, this your mama now. This your mama who had your back. And my chest got heavy. And this happened in a matter of minutes. And I walked outside. And it was so heavy. Until I said, he did it. And I broke down and cried. Stayed outside for a minute. Then I walked back in, and I sat all the way in the back at the other funeral home. And I'm watching Jay as he put his kids on his shoulders, and they looking at Carol, and then he laughing and giggling with people. He see me now. He see me. But he ain't say nothing. He laughing and giggling and, all of that. So I get up and I go back outside. Now at this time, I'm really crying. Everybody take death different. I've been to a man's funeral where he was a issue with his mama, and then she died, and he talked about all the times that they bonded together and what his mama meant to me. I didn't even know the woman. I just knew him, and I cried. So I go outside again. I call up C. I call up S. Then I get in the car, my truck, and I'm sitting up there. And I'm trying to reason. And all of a sudden, I get a tap on my window. Roll down. You gonna be okay? That's what Jay said. I don't know. I'm processing this. So he said, yeah, me too. He said, I can't believe she died. She had a hole in her heart. Man, she had a hole in her heart. I said, well, I ain't never known your mama to be sick. Me either. I said, was she a diabetic? No, she wasn't a diabetic. No, she wasn't. Did she have any symptoms? No. Just that Wednesday she got sick. Days later, we rushed to the hospital. I called 911. Now I'm thinking, that ain't what I heard. I heard C, her sister, called 911. I hope she looked pretty, cuz I picked this picture out for her. Come to find out, you didn't want to. I'm hearing you didn't want to go to here. In fact, the funeral, before I even said anything to you, I'm in the waiting area of the funeral home, and they telling me how you were acting. You didn't even want to make arrangements for. So as I'm sitting here talking, he telling me a story about how his cousin killed his mama. In a casual sense. His mama, my cousin, I believe she killed him. Sitting there listening. Looking at his demeanor. And I said, well, why didn't you go to the police? Well, I did. I went to the officer so-and-so. I went to the naming 3 precincts, and they told me that it wasn't nothing they can do because it wasn't foul play. The Memphis police told you that? It's kind of strange. Find that strange and odd that the Memphis police would tell you that. So I said, well, give me the name of the officer. I'll go find. No, Miss Samantha, no. This family business. You need to go ask her mama. This family business. Well, it kind of made my business when she ended up dead. She in there. No, Miss Samantha. So I'm thinking, if your mama was suspected of being murdered by anybody, especially the baby mama, and she's at the wake, oh man, woo, she'd have been laying right there. They would have had a 2-for-1 special. So while I was sitting in the car, S showed up. S and her kids showed up. They all emotional, everybody emotional. So we go inside and I sit outside. I'm sitting where the chapel, you can see, they got windows where you can see the hallway of the chapel. So I'm talking to S and her husband and her kids, and I look up, Jeremy looking at me. Yeah, his name Jeremy. Looking at me, just staring at me, like he trying to figure out what are we talking about? So Ed says, let me go on in now, and I'm going to see her body. Because she looked like she sleep. No, she didn't. She didn't look like she sleep. She looked like she was dead. Because it was all like this, and they had stuff, and she was hard. She looked like she was dead. So S went in there with the kids. She came back out. She was all upset. She says, this MM asked me what was I doing this Saturday. That's after Carol's funeral. So she said, why? He said, I need you to help me finish cleaning out my mama's house. She ain't had a funeral yet. She ain't had a wake. She just had a wake. She ain't been dead a week. And you cleaning out the house. Shelby got upset and she said, you know what? She said, I took him to the hospital. He was so in a hurry to get back home. Get back to Carol's house. Well, Carol, he didn't have a key. He came over, but he didn't have a key. So he broke in the house. He would break in the house, even while Carol was there. So he broke in the house. He had the keys. He let he let S in. And he went straight for the kitchen and started pouring things out. Started trying to clean up things. So I'm listening to this. I'm getting all upset. At this time, I want to punch him. But then the other family members come in. 3 brothers. 3 brothers come in. One of them, he still wearing them gold teeth. He coming in to the funeral. It's, oh, he was getting ready to fight him and all that. So I went over and I told him what he said. He said, well, I know. I wanted to fight him, but everybody else was talking about they gonna fight him. Now all of a sudden they backed down, so I backed down. I'm gonna tell you something about my family. We don't play. Just because we don't talk, we don't play. We would have drugged him. No. But see, that comes from, they wasn't raising him. They just let her raise him. They wasn't no figure in his life. So all this stuff he ain't doing it behind the scenes. He doing it up front in the family. So the wait was about to be over. And he's scared to come out. Oh, by the way, he's driving his mama car now. Me and S and her kids and somebody else, we sitting in the parking lot. We doing what we doing. We just talking. He gets in the mama car, go. The next day was the funeral. It was semi-chaotic. He was there. Everybody had on lavender. Everybody had on purple. He had blue. No tie, just blue. I'm noticing this. So I got up and spoke, and Shelby spoke. He was the last. You would have thought him being the last, you know, what would he say? He stood up and said, I'm going to miss my mama. Sitting in that chair, playing videos, watching her 3 dogs. My mama took me to Cancun, Mexico. And I gave her 3 grandkids. I don't understand. They said my mama had a hole in her heart. And she used to cut the front and the backyard. I don't know. I'm sitting back as he's talking and stuff. I want to thank all the people. I want to thank the people that ain't never did nothing for my mama. I want to thank you too. What do you think? So, go to the repast. He's sitting in the corner, standing in the corner, looking at everybody, especially me. Because everybody talking to me. But I'm looking at the family. This one arrogant brother. You know, I'm a diabetic. And I ain't gonna lie, I eat a little snacks. In fact, I got some powdered donuts down there. You can be a diabetic and eat sugar. You eat it in moderates. So, his mom and dad are diabetic. They wanted some dessert. I said, okay. Nah, don't give my mama no dessert. She just asked me. I'm giving them just, you know, sample. Look, not that much. What I say? I say it don't. I say, ain't this some mess? Here it is. You sitting up here trying to be the big penis on me. And here it is. This boy killed your sister. You ain't even saying nothing to him. So I said, let me go. I ate before the son. I sure did. Because everybody that ate before the sun, after the sun, got sick. I didn't. I said, I got to eat because I'm a diabetic, sugar getting low. I said, Lord, you just going to have to watch over me. I didn't get sick. So I end up taking somebody to work. And I was going to go back. But I said, you know what? God said, no, go home. Just gonna go. So I left and went to my son's house. Wind down, and I thought about it. I started thinking. I said, you know what? I said, that's, God, I don't mind fighting. I'll fight the good fight, but some things are not my battle. I'm not going to sit here and be a warrior for a family that don't want to fight. So I said, okay. So the son put all his mama's stuff in garbage bags, put it on the side of the house, and he put ranch dressing over all her stuff. He didn't ask the family, did y'all want anything? Come and help me clean out the house. I heard that that's one of the most hardest process in the world, is cleaning out a loved one's house. I have somebody that I love. And when I think when I think about that, I get choked up. I'm like, I don't know, I get emotional. But within a week, he got a car. He he cleaned the house out. And now he's staying there. So before they got a minister, a family minister, that's a cousin. He's a minister. He called the cousin and said, hey, I need you to bless my house. And the minister said, well, no, you mean your mama's house? He said, no, my house. Now I'm going to give you part 2. This part is going to be where the police did what they did. But but we're going to stick with part 1. Now I'm at the point where I had to find my peace. I had to find my peace. And I sit in as I pondering, you know what? I look at it. I know so many women who, you know what, they son get in trouble and they try to catch him. You know, he got babies and stuff, and what you do, you don't want him in jail on child support, so you start helping the girl feed the kids and raise the kids and do all of this, and then you turn around and he in trouble and you start calling folks to help them, and all of that, and you do all of this and you don't let him be a man. He ain't never been a man. He ain't never grew up. He ain't never did anything. And he see his mama, job, pension, insurance. He ain't got nothing. What do we have to lose? Some of y'all, just like her, y'all raising a murderer. Don't even know it. Raising a murderer. And the sad part about it is this right here. You have family members that know it. And can't nobody say nothing good about him. But you have family members that know what he did. And everybody now went on with their life. The brother. The only 2 people that's really active in and trying to find out is me and S. And I had to tell him, let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Because if the family not going to do anything, this girl got 2 beautiful kids. That's teenagers. They need their mama. Don't get in it. Told the sister, if you want me to do something, I need you to type up. No, I ain't typing up nothing. Because if you can't go on one day off your job to go handle your sister business, you doing this phone stuff. And I'm going to tell y'all something. Y'all calling the police. Oh, what happened? We want justice for my family. The police is going to give you some phone justice. They're going to tell you what you want to hear to get you off the phone and close that case. And that's probably what they're getting ready to do now. Because they see the two friends clowning, or the two friends worried about her death, but the family is still whispering. Y'all stay tuned for part 2. Stay tuned.